Come back now and take a look at the local dailies. A lot of red there with the launch of the DCP party yesterday. We start off with the Star, the Weekend Star.
Revealed the cost of Ruto church events, and President spent 118 million during 16 church events. Hiyo mambo ambayo iligonga vichwa vya habari. Anasema kwamba details have emerged of the expenses taxpayers foot for President William Ruto's whirlwind tours, including church events and private functions. Sikiza hapo vizuri, taxpayers. Pesa yako hiyo. Documents tabled in Parliament show the cost of public address system, tents and carpet in a single interdenominational prayer service range between 4 million shillings and 15 million shillings. For 16 church events alone that the president has attended, the government has increased a bill of 118 million shillings. And this is for basic services only, such as hiring a public address systems, tents and seats. Wanasema kwamba the totals are likely to be higher considering the undisclosed ancillary costs such as security detail, transport and protocol services.
Na ukumbuke hawajaongeza pale ile sadaka kama mahali alienda akatoa 20 million akasema ndaleta ingine 100 next week. That is not among this cost. Hii tu ni a red carpet.
Anasema since assuming office, President Ruto has been attending church events in most parts of the country. Na bado ataendelea kubariki kanisa. Sema if you don't want to participate in church activities, he will.
Shida yako.
Gachagua seeks to shed off tribal tag. Anasema kwamba I've heard you say, ukisema hivi unasema sikiza wa Kenya. Tagline ni moja, inaanza na W. Former Deputy President Gachagua during the unveiling of Democracy for the Citizens Party in Lavington, Nairobi on Thursday, that was yesterday. Delegates during the launch wako hapa mbele, and a young man is wrapped up by Gachagua's security after a group of youths tried to disrupt the event. Journalists were injured here, 3 journalists.
Journalists are always caught in the line of fire. Mimi sijui watu uliza wanahabari nini. Wanahabari watu wa magazeti hawana neno. Wanakuja tu kupiga picha. Wakuja waambiwe vile wataambiwa wadanganywe, alafu warudi wafanye kazi. Na huwa wanafanya kazi sana hadi usiku.
Yeah.
Sometimes wanaingia kazi usiku na wanatoka kazi usiku. Alafu unakuja unawachapa.
Unawapiga.
Muwe na utu.
We will sue you guys. State now moves costly power as Kenyans stare at blackouts. The government is considering drastic measures to address the country's power crisis, including resorting to the costly thermal generators. Lobby demands full disclosure of prohibited pesticides. The government must publicly disclose the full list of brand pesticide products recently banned from the Kenyan market, says farmers, consumers, environmentalists and civil society groups. And that's the Star, fresh, independent, different. It comes with the Siasa pull-out today, why ODM's block power will define next 2 elections. And finance bill as well is also here. Boon for SMEs, a state eases tax burden to clear pending bills.
Have you realized that Kenyan papers rarely talk about the budget? I don't understand. Both in Tanzania and Uganda, they're talking about the budget. It is only about 3 weeks away before estimates ziletwe kwa bunge. Anyway, the Daily Nation, shame of political thuggery. That's a big headline there. Goons caused chaos at the launch of a party by former Deputy President Gachagua. The violence, yet another ominous signal to growing political intolerance ahead of the 2027 polls. Yesterday's ugly scenes were in sharp contrast to the calm accorded to then rebel DP Ruto in 2021, when he first publicly introduced his UDA party. So what they've done, they've juxtaposed pictures of the scenes that were witnessed yesterday at the DCP party launch. Alafu anaweka former deputy president, who's now president, when he was deputy president and he launched his political party at the deputy president's residence. Imagine.
Karen.
Imagine that. Wewe ni deputy president, unaenda kufungua chama ingine, chama cha upinzani kwa official residence ya deputy president. Na hakuna mtu anakuuliza. Huyu mwingine ametoka ameenda kufungua huko, alafu watu wanatoka wanataka kuleta vita. This was very unfortunate. Sema no arrests yet following violence in past Gachagua events. Na Gachagua amekipata.
Hata
ile alimuru.
Interior CS alisema jana kujua ana launch party.
Wewe. Ile alimuru akachapwa mpaka gari kapigwa mawe kaingia ndani. Akaenda kwingine hapa PCA Church hapa Kasarani juzi wakakuja vita. Tena jana vita. Wakati ingine alikuwa huko, was it in Kirinyaga? His spouse was having a church event, wakaingia tena. Yeah. It's very unfortunate. Ni kama sasa he better boost his security. Other quick highlights on the front page of this paper. New school system links data with Maisha number. Unakumbuka Maisha number? Na huduma number. Tofauti. A new system that will integrate all learners' data with Maisha number, digital identity will be piloted from July. The Kenya Education Management Information System, KEMIS, will replace the National Education Management System, NEMIS. Now, they keep changing the system and I don't understand why. But probably it's to link it with Maisha number. Have you registered for Maisha number? Okay. Unfit for office and the debate about the IEBC returns. The case against 4 IEBC nominees. A court petition of persons nominated by President Ruto to serve as poll commissioners could delay further the reconstitution of the Electoral Commission. We saw this coming. We tried discussing it here. Tukaambiwa hapana, it's a done deal. Mnapiga kelele sana, mtu ameenda kotini. Sasa tufanye nini? Meaning we may not have the IEBC as soon as we thought. On the back page, a very interesting story about the late marathoner Samuel Wanjiru, a mother's pain 14 years after marathon star's tragic death. And the entire back page is dedicated to that story. That's the Daily Nation.
The Standard, Tower of Babel. At cross purpose, conflicting statements from members of the National Security Council at formal sittings, including Parliament and media interviews, have left the country wondering whether the apparent mix-up emanates from a case of poor messaging and inability to point communications towards certain end, or it is indeed a reflection of weak coordination among top security organs. Total number of criminal gangs identified were 309, that is 92.8%, the level of infiltration by gangs in the security sector, and that was according to the NIS boss. According to the Interior Cabinet Secretary, 87.2% respondents said they feared gangs because they use weapons to injure victims. This story is on page 4. Angalia anasema vipi. Conflicting public statements, again by senior security officials, have laid bare apparent divisions within the National Security Council and its advisory body, of course raising questions about whether the issue stems from poor communication or weak coordination. And Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has appeared to contradict President William Ruto's recent remarks made in the presence of visiting Finnish President Alexander Stubb that all abducted Kenyans had been reunited with their families. Murkomen has claimed the president had been misunderstood, insisting his remarks were taken out of context. President Ruto's remarks have stirred public debate, with many Kenyans interpreting them as an admission of state involvement in the abductions. Former NIS agent is quoted here saying the first rule of intelligence is silence and cohesion. What you're witnessing is a breakdown in discipline. Tower of Babel. Regulator approves standard rights issue. Wanasema the Capital Markets Authority has given the Standard Group the green light to raise 1.5 billion from shareholders through a rights issue. Moi University dismisses 900. Hapa watu walipoteza kazi jana by the way. Redundancy.
Yes.
At Moi University. Goons disrupt Gachagua's party launch. Unaona wamewapatia, the Standard leo wamewapatia to a very, very small page. Here's our Kenya Standard. On the back page, Gor Mahia blow chance to narrow gap on Kenya police. The record Kenyan champions lost 2-1 to struggling Nairobi City Stars yesterday, and Kogalo remained third on the log, but with a game in hand. The Europa final focus a bonus for Villa Blues. That's the Standard.
From the Standard, we take a look at the People Daily. Gachagua's warning to Ruto on 2027 poll, and they have an image there of the former deputy president, as he launched his party, DCP. No, he unveiled his party. I think they're planning a different event later in June for a proper launch of the party. The story is on page 4. Na akasema hai chama nita ensure ile wanasema nini? One term. Pale juu Kenya secures 194 billion shilling Eurobonds. Hii si story inafaa kufinywa huko. Inafaa kuwa story kubwa sana hapa mbele. Because they said, zile Eurobonds zingine ya 2014 na ingine ya much later, how they were spent, which account did the money go to? There's always those questions. Now we've secured another Eurobond. Will there be any transparency this time round? Yes, those are the two main stories there on the front page. The rest are feature stories. But yes, Gachagua's warning to Ruto on 2027 poll. Alisema hii ndio itakupeleka nyumbani.
Lakini one term ya W. Sio hiyo one ya moja. Sisi tunajua W.
Wewe unajua inamaanisha nini? Mimi najua tu ni one term. WATAM.
Mimi najua tu ni one term. Business Daily, Trump to take 17 billion shillings from Kenya's diaspora cash. And US President Donald Trump's administration has set its sight on taking away 5% of the hundreds of billions of shillings that Kenyans working and living in America send back home annually through a proposed law. A draft bill by Republicans is seeking to slap a 5% excess tax on remittances or international money transfers by immigrant workers, including holders of green cards and those with temporary work visas. Nasikia the US wamekasirikia Kenya vibaya sana.
Wanakula pesa mingi sana. Wanafanya kazi huko, pesa inakuja huko. Sema tax. You have to keep that money in America.
Yes. On the ticker, Cooperative Bank gross profit to 6.9 billion shillings in the first quarter. Ruby's aviation firm in 396 million shillings contract row. And Umeme hints at lifting of trading suspension. Anasema Umeme has raised hopes of a return to trading at the Nairobi and Kampala bourses next month after holding negotiations with the Ugandan government over the disputed payout accruing from its power distribution concession. And that's the Business Daily.
Right. Let's take a look at the cartoons. Kuna Taifa Leo bado. All right, Gachagua afya tuka ndio habari kuu pale kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Anasema aliyekuwa naibu wa rais Rigathi Gachagua sasa ameanzisha mikakati rasmi ya kumwondoa afisini Rais William Ruto mwaka 2027 kwa kutaja rasmi chama chake cha kisiasa atakachokitumia kufanikisha azma hiyo. Bwana Gachagua anapanga kukitumia chama cha Democracy for Citizen Party, DCP, kusuka muungano na vinara wa vyama vingine vya upinzani kudhamini mgombeaji mmoja wanayemtarajia kumfanya Daktari Ruto kuandikisha historia kama rais wa kwanza nchini kuhudumu kwa mhula mmoja pekee, ila wanaita one term. And I get the feeling that because niliona the response from the other side was two term. Nisha walikuwa sema 10 bila break, ni kama wanataka kugeuza ikuwe two term. Sasa itakuwa one term, two term, one term, two term. The logo, the wazitaje hivyo. Hizo chants, they get shorter and shorter. Ilikuwa Ruto must go ni one term. Alright. Baada ya kuandaa vikao vya kusaka maoni ya mikutano ya hadhara, Gachagua azindua rasmi chama kipya. And the front page of this paper today is a bit wordy. Vidokezo pale chini wanasema 4 kati ya 7 IEBC wapingwa. Ni ile kesi ambayo imewasilishwa kotini kupinga kuteuliwa kwa 4 kati ya wale 7 kwenye tume huru la uchaguzi na mipaka. Moi University yawafuta kazi maafisa karibu 900. Wengine Putin akaa ngumu dhidi ya Zelensky. Pale juu ni masuala ya bajeti, vipengele vya sumu katika mswada wa fedha wa 2025 vitakavyoumiza raia. And I think this is the only paper today that has dedicated at least a piece of the front page to the budget making process, which is very commendable, and we laud the Taifa Leo. Wanasema serikali kwa umakinifu imeongeza ushuru wa VAT kwa bidhaa kadhaa, malighafi ya lishe, usafirishaji wa miwa, simu za humu nchini, baiskeli na mikopo ya kidijitali ni kati ya sekta zilizoathiriwa. Isitoshe, serikali sasa itaweza kunasa mawasiliano yako ya siri ya kibiashara ili kukuzuia kukwepa ushuru. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 3 wa gazeti hili. Ukitaka kuelewa vipengele vya sumu katika mswada wa fedha wa mwaka huu na vile vitakuumiza wewe kama raia, tafuta gazeti hili la Taifa Leo. Alright, tuangazie masuala ya karakacha na tunaanza leo na Daily Nation.
Finance Bill 2025